How long ago was it that you had no front of house people at all?
I'd say from November 15th to December 12th.
It
Wow.
was just you. You were the
Just
service
me.
manager, service advisors, expediter as well. You were doing all the dispatches and
As much as I could, I was just running around with my head cut off, also trying to update myself on whose repair orders or what. I think that was the hardest part when I got there. There's no notes, there's no nothing. Like it's all in people's heads. Every time I go to a store, that's how they run their whole service department, which absolutely blows my mind every time. Like, how is this? Nobody can jump in and do your job. It's crazy.
yeah.
So I
So
changed all that up.
you had two technicians operating and you were the guy running the circus?
Yep.
Wow. 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 Okay. So you have now within a month went from that to finding two service advisors, an
Yep.
expediter. Is it just those three hires so far?
And another lot tech.
Holy so you you had two employees. You've got six employees now in a month?
4 more employees. So I have 4 that replaced the 2.
Billy Nicoll.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have been, I got to start off with a little short brag about you. You have been the #1 podcast, like still to this day, across YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all of them are like, everybody just wants to hear from you.
That's funny. That's I don't even know what to say. It's hilarious.
You're famous.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
You're the world's
Barely.
greatest service manager, so everybody wants to hear from you. Or at this point, I guess just world's greatest turnaround consultant in general, because you're doing the same thing that Danny and I just did. You are in the midst of fixing 2 dealerships at the same time, which is
Yeah.
even crazier than what we did. What's happening?
Yeah. So I think last time I talked to you, I'm pretty sure that I let you guys know that, one of the dealerships, basically the whole service department just walked out on me. It's not that they just walked out. I think I came in and I put a lot on myself thinking that, I caused them to walk out, but they were all planning on leaving anyway. I just happened to get there at the perfect time. So I
So
lost a service manager. I lost a service advisor. I lost all of the lot techs. I basically was left with I had no lot techs, no advisors, nobody in the front room. And I had 2 technicians and 2 part-time technicians left. And that was it.
Can you give us a
And then
rundown of can you give us a rundown of what that department, like the volume, like what it should, like the number of people that should be in place?
So yeah, let's see, this department should probably, right now it's doing about 600,000, pretty standard. In my calculations, it should be about $1 million labor service department. It should have 3 technicians full-time, maybe a couple part-time guys as far as PDI technicians. And then I'm having a hard time. This is where you get into a small dealer. I'm having a hard time justifying 2 advisors, but I got to have 2 advisors in my mind right now. And maybe you guys have a better idea for this, but one of them's got to take a vacation or get sick or not be there. So I don't know what to do on that. The thing that I'm kind of stepping away from and not rehiring at the moment is actually a service manager at the moment. I'm filling in for that. And also the GM of the store has been a service manager and he's filling in when I'm not there. So it's kind of working out at the moment.
very similar model to what we've got going on here. We're not
Very
putting a manager
similar.
in place, the GM's covering it, and we're having more coverage of front of house done through the sales manager.
And I think that
Yeah.
that's probably the best way to go about it. It's almost like you want to get everything in place personally and then bring in a service manager that you can show, here's how it's done. Here's
into
what's
the
expected.
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it probably worked out for the best.
Yeah. No, so
So far.
far I hired 2 advisors and they're killing it. And I hired 2 lot techs. They're doing a great job as well. One of the lot techs is an expediter. So yeah, no, it's going good. It's going really good. Actually, I'm super excited. It didn't take that long, which it felt like it was going to take forever because I really wasn't getting very many applicants and just
Yeah,
kind of all worked out.
So, okay, I want to back up a little bit because you like skimmed over this pretty quickly of how crazy this is. How long ago was it that you had no front of house people at all?
I'd say from December 1st. No, I take it back. From November 15th to December 12th.
Wow.
It was just
Um,
you. You were the
just
service
me.
manager, service advisors, expediter as well. You were doing all the dispatches and
As much as I could, I was just running around with my head cut off, also trying to update myself on whose repair orders or what. I think that was the hardest part when I got there. There's no notes. There's no nothing. Like it's all in people's heads. Every time I go to a store, that's how they run their whole service department, which absolutely blows my mind every time. Like, why, how is this? Nobody can jump in and do your job. It's crazy.
yeah.
So I
So
changed all that up.
you had two technicians operating and you were the guy running the circus?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So you have now within a month went from that to finding two service advisors, an
Yep.
expediter. Is it just those three hires so far?
And another lot tech.
Holy shit. So you had two employees. You've got 6 employees now in a month?
4 more employees. So I have 4 that replaced the 2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So that I want to get to in just a little bit. I also I want to get into how do you find him? How'd you get him up to speed? But you quickly went over the idea that this is a $500,000 store right now, $600,000 service department. This should be $1 million service department. How did you come up with that? Like, how do you know what the vision of what you want to build is in scale?
Yeah. I came up with that based off of the skill level at the store. The 2 technicians that are there are extremely good. I'm really impressed with both of them. One's been there a long time. The other one's been there about 6 or 7 years. And yeah, they're just at a high level, and they've been like, literally, I was just talking to one of the technicians Saturday before I left. And he's like, I love your system so much more. He's like, you have to understand. I was just talking to the other tech, and I was saying how an hour a day I would spend finding vehicles, another hour a day I would spend finding parts, and then another hour a day I would find my next job. So he's like, that's 3 hours out of my day that I wasn't getting paid before you got here. So he's like,
So those two guys are solid. You're bringing on another technician, and then how do you know you have enough work for that amount of expected labor, $1 million?
I think what I'm going to do is bring on assistants for them. I don't think I'm going to find a qualified technician in this small town. It's a small mountain town. So I think I'm going to have a hard time finding one. I do have some interviews, and I do have some people that are saying they're going to come out, but I think what's going to end up happening is I'll hire 2 tech assistants that I will work into technicians over time.
I think that
Yeah, because
is beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're thinking you're going to get that proficiency well above 100% by doing what you did at Phase, that like double up assistant to the technician rate.
Yeah.
So your available is not necessarily going up, but your billable is going to double essentially.
Yeah, not a problem. The last pay period, that same technician I was talking to on Saturday, he did 96 hours in an 80-hour period.
Nice.
And
That was without help.
without help, without an
Yes.
assistant. Yeah.
What was this
And
guy
he's
selling
like,
before? Like,
oh yeah, he was in the 60s and 70s.
what?
He said this is the highest he's ever billed in a 2-week period. It's 96 hours.
And
So-
and what's the biggest impacts on those? It's the fact that he's not waiting for stuff. He has his next jobs lined up. What is it?
100%. He can see his whole day. He can see the whole week if he wants to go ahead and look at it. But he can see his whole day ahead of him. He can see where the parts are staged. He can see, and then I've got the expediter that's finding the vehicles and just lining them up for him. So
Cool.
yeah,
So
the
he's
kind of
not-
cool thing is the shop's so small that just staging the parts is a world of difference. So there's just an area we have to stage them, which is different from a bigger store where I'm actually like having them find the parts on the stage counter and put them with the vehicles and doing that. I kind of just took that process out of this small store because it's a 10-foot walk for the technicians, for both of them to go grab their parts. So there's not really time wasted there.
How far ahead of time are you staging? Is it like all of their day is there and ready to go?
Oh, easily. If the job is there and the parts are there, it could be staged weeks ahead of time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just ready
Just
for
depends
them
on
at any
it.
moment. Like,
Yep.
get that next one on my left. How many lifts do they each have?
The shop's probably big enough to have 5 to 6 technicians in it, but currently they're using one, or each have a 2-post lift, and each of them have a motorcycle lift or ATV lift that they can use as a motorcycle lift.
So you're staging like motorcycle, ATV at the same time they go from one jump over to the other?
They could, yep. We don't really have any motorcycles. They're in the mountains right now, so we're snowmobiles and UTVs at the moment.
Are you putting more two-post lifts in there?
Nope, 2 sounds plenty for this place. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So you don't need to do like a next unit staged on the lift form to speed that up even more, you don't think?
Yeah, I think if I could, that would be great. But I'm kind of taking into the space for like PDI guys and some of the part-time guys that come in. So we're also redesigning it a little bit. We're going to move the tire machine area and make room for another technician where the tire machine is. So we're making some changes.
That's great. Okay. So let's get into, I can imagine there's other service managers listening to this right now going, yeah, I need an advisor right now, or yes, I need that role. You were in, like, you couldn't have been any more in the swirl.
Yeah.
How did you post for that job? How did you find those people? How'd you hire them? How'd you get them in? So let's start with just finding them and hiring them.
Yeah. So we did Indeed ads and then we did Facebook ads. Those are pretty much the outgoing stuff that we did. It wasn't getting very much traction. I was getting a lot of applicants, but it was actually, I'm actually still amazed when I get an app, how bad it is. Like, it's just like, whoa, dude, this is crazy. There'll be like 3 pages of qualifications that they just wrote out all these 1-word things that they can do, right? It's like, what is going on?
Yeah. You're trying to get the job, right? That's the point of applying for the job.
Yeah, so it's just nuts. So anyway, I go through it and it's such a small town in a small area that I'm calling everybody because I don't care if your application sucks, right? I still want to talk to you on the phone. And if you can pass the phone call, then I'll get you an interview in person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
One more
What-
tidbit as far as people that are potentially listening to this and wondering where to find people. Max and I, we've had hit and miss luck. I'd say it's probably 50-50 on like just organic applications coming in, whether they work out or not. One of the best service managers that I ever had and started out as an advisor, I got from a Firestone. And I mean, I've said, if you want to get proactive, whenever your truck or whatever needs tires, try out different Firestones, Goodyears. And if somebody, if somebody's there and you like what they're doing, go after them, because I can tell you this, those jobs are not typically pleasant work environments. And those guys typically want to get out. And a lot of them don't even think like, whoa, a motorcycle or ATV shop, like dealership, I didn't even think that was a possibility. But what they bring is an unbelievable sense of urgency. Like this guy, it was a small sample size, but this guy, I mean, he was ready to go and he was not happy if things were sitting still. And, at least in our store, Max, that we turned around, like that's needed. The sense of urgency. There's too much sitting back with your feet kicked up and you're saying, what are you doing? You've got a mountain of things that you need to be doing to get this place rolling. So anyway, I thought I'd throw that tidbit in there.
Get rolling is a great point. Just continue to operate. Actually, I had an aha moment of what I need to ask in an interview of someone who's going to be a service advisor is how many unread emails do you currently have in your inbox? I went and looked over the shoulder of one of my advisors recently, a guy who, that I'm not incredibly impressed with at the moment. Looked over his shoulder and the amount of unread emails, it's not his personal, it's his work email. And I'm like, dude, you're not opening every single one of those the moment it comes in and at least reading it and addressing it. Like if it's unorganized, that's one thing. If there's 100 unread messages, what are you doing? So
the sad part is a good portion of those are probably calls that he missed and that people are just trying other avenues of getting in touch with the service department. And so it's even worse.
Yeah. So that change has to happen very soon. But I mean, so Billy, you now have found these 2 people. Did you hire them both at the same time?
No, they're probably 3 weeks apart from each other.
Okay. And how long have they been? How long has that first one been there for you now?
First one's been there. I think we're going on about 4 weeks right now.
Wow. So the other one's a week in so far. God damn.
And
Okay.
the other one's like 4 days in. Yeah. Not even a week yet.
Before we get into the training, how are they doing at the moment? How are you feeling about them?
Yeah, they're doing great. They're doing really well. The first one that came in, and I'm impressed with the second one already too, just in a few days. So the first one that came in, he had previously worked at the same ownership group, just at a different store.
Oh, cool.
And he had had some surgery on his ankle and was out for an extended period of time. And the old GM had known of him. And that's how I kind of got in contact with him. So like going back a little bit, I'm going to step back a little bit to help you with finding people. I actually ended up getting most of the guys talking to the technicians, talking to the staff, talking to one of the lot techs that came in. He goes to school with the other lot tech, and he's so funny. You live in a small town. This is so crazy. So he's like, yeah, I got my buddy who wants to come in. I'm like, you think he'll be good? And he's like, oh, I don't want to put that kind of pressure on myself. And I was like, it's all good. Bring him in. I'll interview him. So he comes in and he's got boots on and he's got the biggest belt buckle, just like huge belt buckle. And it's just all showing, right? It's so funny. So his nickname now is Belt Buckle. So on his first interview, he's, and he's just a great kid. Both of them are just unbelievably hardworking, good kids. You can tell they either come off a farm or they do something where there was, a lot of hard work involved. And now they're in a motorcycle store just loving it. And they both ride. And so it's the best of both worlds. But I've got almost all my guys from asking the internal staff, who can we get? Who can we bring in? Who can do that? So
That's great.
So
Yeah.
how did you train these guys up? I mean, when you're bringing on multiple people and you're still keeping the place from burning down, it's hard to carve out the time to teach someone. How are you doing it?
Yeah. So I sat with the first service advisor that I hired for about a week. And the system, like I said, the system I put in place, the way I've got Lightspeed set up and the way I've got it where you just, you follow these steps and then you use Service Manager Pro and you use standard jobs. I mean, you can't, unless you're completely just can't learn computers, you just can't mess up. It just works perfect. I mean, he's already taking photos. He's already taking photos of the mileage, the hours on the vehicle. He's already just like every single thing I want is perfect. I literally critiqued him on Saturday. I said, hey, I've gone through a couple of your reporters. Really, the only thing I can see right now that I need you to step up is putting your name after your notes. So we know who wrote the note. That's it. Reporters are great.
You might not have an answer for this, but is there one thing that you emphasize with these guys? Like, everything involved with this job, make sure that this is the most important thing.
Yeah. I think there's a couple that are probably high up there. The top three are, before the guy leaves, he needs to know what his expectation is for when you're going to get back to him. If it's a week from now, you need to tell him it's a week from now. If he's thinking his appointment's today, you need to let him know, hey, we're backed up and we're backed up 2 or 3 days. I won't be calling you until it's ready. The expectation is like the number one thing that I say. Number two is, hey, you're an advisor. I need you to look the vehicle over when you're checking it in. And I need you to check every means you can to see, does it need a service? Does it need this? Does it need that? Does it need coolant flushed? Whatever it is, you have to check it over, because otherwise you're just an order taker, and I don't need an order taker, and that's not your job.
It's funny. I know you're on the same page with this. I don't call that role service writers. And when I have someone talk about their service writers, I usually try and correct them. Like, hey, if they're just a writer, you can replace them with an app, or you can replace them with a self-service screen, or you could just hand them a clipboard and have them write down what the customer wants. They're an advisor, like your financial advisor would be, or your attorney would be. Like, you have to understand the whole picture. You have to understand all the things, and then you give them all the options, and they make the most informed decision. And so, yeah, I think that's awesome that you're driving that home, that you have to find everything and give them every option and explain which options are most important to least important. But if you're just taking what they say, you're just a clerk.
Totally. Fully agree.
So number one was consistently giving customers expectations. 2 was being a true advisor. You said there was one more?
Yeah. And then after that, it's note taking, following up with it too. The note, every step that repair order goes through has to have a note followed but with it. What's basically what has happened and what needs to happen has to be there, so that I can jump in and I can help somebody, or anybody in the store can jump in, and we can just go from there. And that lacks in a lot of service departments.
Most of them. Max, remember
Yeah.
what you did whenever I worked for you years and years ago?
Yeah, I was
For
so
notes.
laughing about it. I had a big framed picture over the door that just said notes, 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 notes over and over again. So every time I would look at it, I'd be like, "Hey, you guys see the sign? I don't know if you saw the sign. It says notes a bunch of times. That's what we do." Yeah. So expectations, advising, and notes. That pretty much sums up a good
That's
service
it.
advisor. You were right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
After that,
Clearly
I mean, it all
communicate.
falls into place. It just does what it needs to do. So
So when you hand it, like when you got these guys started, right? Your process works, right? And that's the
yeah.
whole idea of what we're trying to do here is like, okay, let's put a process in place that's easy enough to follow. And then the personality is what makes it enjoyable, but the process is what makes it repeatable.
Yep.
How did you actually get that across to them? Do you have this thing documented? Do you sit them down for a day and go through, follow me. I'm going to be the advisor. I want you to see what happens. How'd you do it?
So I feel like, and I don't know, maybe everybody's like this, but for me, I learn by doing. So immediately when I'm training somebody, they do everything and I stand behind them. And then, at the very beginning, I'm telling them every next step, right? The first day is me saying every next step. This is your next step. This is your next step. And then as the days go on, I can get to day 3 and have somebody fully trained. But as the days go on, I've stopped saying what the next step is and just keep watching and watch and let them figure out what their next step is. And if I see I miss something, I'll say why. And I'm really big into telling everybody the why we do it the way we do it, the whole story, so that they can kind of understand where we're at.
Yeah, which means you got to understand the why. I mean, I think a big reason why you're so successful in this is not only because you understand the whys, but you were able to come into that store and change it to processes that made sense, remove the ones that didn't make sense and say, well, that's dumb because there's no way to explain the why.
Yeah.
So let's do it this way. And then when you got that settled, and it's easier to get people to start following because it all makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I like to tell my advisors, you're not going to feel comfortable in this spot. It's going to take 6 months for you to be comfortable at your job. It just is what it is. So realize that, understand the process is going to be fine and you're going to get better and I'll keep helping you. But man, after a week, I was completely able to step away from the first guy that I hired, and he's running the ship right now, like fully running the ship. He's actually training the second person right now. So, and I'm going to jump in and help with the training, but my thought right now is I come in for actual training. I come in for once a week meeting and that's it. The rest is on autopilot at the moment.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So were you having them, you were having them check in customers, do all the work, and you were just shadowing and saying, oh, okay, hey, this is the trainee customer. So just so you know what's happening, but I'm showing them step by step.
Yeah, no, I would make light of it. You know what I mean? We're out there with the customer and I'd be like, it's his first day. So be as hard on him as you can. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it was, they laugh out about it and do whatever. And it was a good time. So yeah, no, I think it's a great time. Actually training people I really like. Just, I don't know why, but it's, especially when you get good people that's what I think. All these young kids that come up, they're using computers at school. I mean, they know this stuff so much better than I do. I mean, they're like, I could show them a program and they're already running through it. And I'm like, I didn't even show them anything. Holy crap.
You figure out how to click through it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, so you and I had talked about repair orders, and you'd mentioned when you took over the 2 stores you're turning around right now, one of the very first steps was auditing their ROs. And that's something that I also had done when I was running this store, when it was mine. But also it's a process we're going through currently. Tell me what your repair order process looks like. What are you looking at? How do you grade them? How do you bring it back to them? That kind of stuff.
So the first store that I did this audit on is the same one we've been talking about this whole time. So I did it while I still had people. Like I said, I got there and 3 weeks later, everybody left. So in the first 3 weeks I was there, I was running this audit, and in my mind, the audit was brand new to me, but when I got there, I thought, you know what, there's gotta be a way where I can assess what's going on, take whether it's 90 days or 30 days or whatever worth of work and get a good feel of what we're good at. So my whole mindset was to find out what's this store's, what is it? What are they good at? What is our main thing, right? Do we do services? Do we do whatever it is? Do we do snowmobiles? Or what is our niche, right? because it's just a very general store. And I think in order to be a great store, you kind of have to have that niche, and you kind of have to,
Agreed.
you have to exploit that niche, right? You have to advertise that niche. You have to put it on your site. You have to base your social media around it. Whatever you're really good at and you make good money at, you have to push that really hard. So that's what I was thinking I was getting into is building something that let me know, here guys, I know you think we're a UTV store, but you know, we did way more in ATVs or whatever it was being. That was I was just thinking, you know what I mean? I'm going to find it based off what their repair orders look like. So yeah, I just went back a whole month in repair orders, and I looked at, it turned into a big thing, which I'm sure if you did one, as you were talking about, you think you got one going this too. It turns into this much bigger scope. So anyway, I was looking at dates of how long the repair orders were open, if there are already notes, if all the customers, I was looking for the 101, right? If they have all their names and addresses and phone numbers and emails in it, right? You got to have the 101 in order to get next. If it has any photos, if they did any videos, if they did any follow-up calls at all. Like I wanted to know, was it text, phone, email? How were they doing their follow-ups? So I put that all the way through. And then I wanted to know, is my technician doing the upselling or my advisors doing the upselling? So I broke it down into who's doing the upselling. I also broke down, are we missing warranties? So I would go back and look and see if the jobs we did actually had outstanding warranties, which I did find a few, which I was a little bit surprised on. And then I wanted to know labor lines. So are we order takers at the store? And I broke down that as well. So
Just
I went
count
through,
labor lines.
yep, I went through each repair order one at a time and spent whatever time I need to in that repair order to figure out what was going on. And then made a full spreadsheet on it, which turned out really nice. It's really cool. I'll send it over to you so you can see it.
Yeah, please. Yeah, the one that we're doing, it's actually even, I think, simpler than that. Also a spreadsheet. We both love making spreadsheets. So ours is basically just like a checkbox. Yes, no. It is invoice number, the invoice, or the invoice date, like the process date of the invoice, the customer name, if they joined our membership or not. We launched this membership in order to be able to drop the labor rate for customers who signed up for the membership. So it's kind of workaround for dropping rate, but not having it affect manufacturers or insurance jobs or internal. Then advisor name, same 101s, the phone, email, address. Then there was unit stuff, complete VIN, license plate number, mileage in, mileage out, job count, total hours billed on that repair order. So you can kind of see, job count being how many swings did you take at selling jobs, hours per repair order being how many did you actually hit. We have a pre-inspection and post-inspection. So a pre-inspection, which is verifying all the needs, all that kind of stuff, things we might need to tell the customer about or upsell potentially. Then a quality control check. And then we'd have, who was the tech? Were there technician notes? Was there good communication between advisor and technician in those notes? And then was there good communication to logged correspondence with the customers? All of that comes together with those, with the true false checkboxes and the amount of jobs and hours per repair order. You can calculate that into a score. So our little sheet has a score for every single one, and I can then organize that by date range. I can organize it by the advisor. So that for us turned into every single Tuesday morning meeting when we're meeting with the whole team. I actually have a score for my advisors to say, okay, overall, the entire department's repair orders was 75%. This advisor was 90%. This advisor was this. And it has really driven the conversation in two ways. It has made the guys who care about doing it right get better. And it has become very obvious which people don't need to work here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
fully, I think that's awesome. Are you manually doing it every week?
Every week I'm pulling all of the processed repair orders from the previous week and auditing all of those.
Okay.
In total,
we got to figure out a way to make it more automated or maybe get to a point where it's a spot check. Maybe I do it twice a year or something,
Yeah. I don't think this isn't a forever thing for us.
Yeah.
Either. This is do I have the right people in the right seats thing? And are they actually following the process? Because here's the thing. If me and Danny go in and we're trying to fix this, Billy, if you're in that store and trying to fix it and you go, man, the numbers aren't changing and you don't Like you're not auditing to see why it's not changing, or the numbers are changing and you're patting yourself on the back like, shit, yeah, I did this. This is all me. And you realize it's just because the weather got nice and everybody's buying. That has nothing to do with you actually being a good change manager, a good service manager. So I think at least for the time being, having something that shows here's the progress you're making and here's the report of that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, I
once we
think
can
that's,
once we can prove that, that's what's so exciting about this whole dealer lab thing, is that like once we can prove it, we can do it manually. It'll be nothing to automate that and offer that as a tool to whichever dealer wants to use it, and we'll be able to show like it has a real impact.
yeah. It'll have a huge impact.
That's awesome. I mean, look, for people listening right now, they're going, oh, I'm not going to wait until that tool comes out. Don't wait till the tool comes out.
Do it
Just
make your
start
own.
coming up with your own plans. Reach out. We're happy to share the spreadsheets that we've built. Just reach out and do that, or just build one. Just go, what do I want on the repair orders, and start going back through your ROs.
I'll never forget, Max. Remember that one of the 20 club groups that we were speaking to years ago was about some type of some process that we were doing, some calculation for Bing bikes, figuring out equity, and then like
Equity
identifying,
mining,
the equity mining idea. And somebody raised their hand and they said, well, I mean, we could just do this. We don't need your thing to do it. And then somebody else in the group said, well, none of us are doing it. Our
It's like, I know
message
you
was,
can do it.
do it. You don't need us.
That's why I just showed you the math and how we did the math. Just do it.
Just do it.
all
We're
right.
just
Well,
hopefully going to be able to offer ways to do it easier.
Yeah, we can make it easier, but you could just do the math. You
Yeah.
could just, and so I feel it's the same way. Like, okay, right now, if you're a service manager listening to this and going like, yeah, I wish I wish my service advisor did a better job, or I wish I could hire on a service advisor and do it this way. Like, okay, well, define what the job is supposed to be, and then start measuring if they're doing that. And that's going to start leading to the decisions you make.
a GM or an owner,
Oh yeah,
make sure, like, ask your service manager about this. Like, what do you think about this idea? And as an owner, you should make sure that these checks and balances are in place. Like, you're not just going to say, hey, do a better job. Like, let's figure out if you're doing a better job. Let's get a benchmark and have a goal.
Start on making processes, trying new stuff out.
Yeah.
All right,
What
so
did we
Billy-
start out with, Max? 37% as the average grade on the repair orders.
Oh yeah,
And then-
probably
and
pulling up. Yeah,
I think now
both.
we're up at around 70, which still isn't good enough, but
70's the average, only because there's one guy who's dramatically pulling that number down.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I hope that guy's not listening to this podcast and figuring out which one he is, but
he sees it every Tuesday. He's not
he
making
sees
any
it every
change.
it is an obvious, like, there's one guy who's at the bottom. What's his name? Isn't it? Like, it's pretty obvious. But again, like, I think about just managing staff in general, not just advisors, but if I were to tell that guy, out having these reports, if I were to tell that guy, you're not cutting it, you're canned, out of the blue, he would have no idea why that's happening. But
Yeah.
every week we talk about how you're at the bottom of the thing. It's no surprise. We've had the meeting with him already. I can't share too much about it, but there's been conversations where he's like, hey, so I'm doing pretty good, right? I'm like, nope, you're not. That's the score we're talking about. I don't know what, are you not listening in the meeting when we talk about this? But this is what you're not doing. So I think it's been exciting to see the other guys pick up the slack, and like the other guys be like, oh, you hit for the first time ever. This was what, 2 weeks ago. First time ever. We had 2 of the service advisors hit 100%. They got it absolutely perfect. Knocked the repair out of the park. Got like all the little ancillary additional stuff in there that we really want to like. If it was perfect, it would be this. 2 of those guys are hitting it out of the park. One guy just so far off of it. So I think figuring out what you want to make and then start measuring it against that and teach the team how to actually get to it it's working for you, Billy. It seems right.
Yeah. No, I mean, so I'm not just doing the service departments of these stores. I'm doing the whole store. So I made another one, I'm calling it the vitals of the store. So I'm working currently on building a spreadsheet that has the vitals of the store. So every month I'm going to basically have the vitals, because they haven't been looked at for so long that everything I go into has just been forgotten about. Like even like manufacturer leads, they're just not connected, or they're not going to the right place, or the door counters, the batteries are dead. It's like everything is just fallen to the wayside. And so we're just going to check it every month. And then if something's wrong with it, we'll address it and fix it. And that's just keep going. So
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
So you said you had mentioned to me earlier you're working on something else, or like thinking through some ideas. What are you working on right now? What's the next thing to tackle?
Yeah, no, that spreadsheet I'm working on is probably the biggest one right now. And then inventory. I'm really working on inventory right now. Inventory's been massive. I've never been a part of inventory, so it's a huge learning curve for me as well. But inventory has been ignored for years and it's gotten out of control. And there
Which
hasn't
inventory?
really
You talk major units, parts, accessories,
major
clothing?
units, major units.
Dude, we just went through this exact same thing. How old is the product on your showroom floor? How aged is it?
It's pretty old. It's pretty bad. There's some 23s hanging out in there. So it's kind of a bummer.
So we just did a big write down. Did I tell you about this already?
I think you were, I think that's why you built your little thing that you have. That's freaking awesome, by the way. When you sent it to me, I was just like,
Cool. I'll send.
oh
I'll
man,
for this one. But we're putting, we finally got the product priced right. So basically, for those of you listening who don't understand the write down strategy we're talking about, at the end of the year, what we wanted to do was we didn't want to start 2026 with just a bunch of inventory that when we sell it, we're going to take a huge loss on it. So let's put the loss in 25. It's not costing us any cash, but it is going to hurt the P&L for 2025. And so what that basically means is there's this accounting principle called conservatism. And conservatism is basically just about saying the assets on your balance sheet, meaning your inventory, should be the lesser of either the cost you paid on that product or the market value of that product. We've got products like you have products right now from 2023. The cost you paid for that thing, you're not gonna be able to even get cost for that product. Like you're gonna be, you have likely already tried to drop the price lower and lower and lower just to get it off the showroom floor to stop the bleeding of your flooring expense. And so that number, you're going to continue to pay flooring if you haven't paid them off, or you're going to start paying curtailment, which is going to be just paying off the unit, taking tons of cash flow away from the store. So what you do is you basically have to say, okay, if I were to auction this bike off, and what we did, we used NPA direct buy bids. So we know we could actually like send this directly to NPA. Granted, NPA buys used units, so you have to actually like re-register the unit as used, basically buy the bike and use if you want to send it to auction. But at least we were able to get the values, a proven value, and then we went into our DMS and we marked down the cost of that product. Now, when you do that, when you mark down the cost of the product, it has to show up in two spots. It's got to show up on the balance sheet and it's got to show up on the P&L. So on the balance sheet, it's basically your inventory, the value of your inventory is going to drop. Think of it like, we'll just use easy numbers. You got a product that the cost was $30,000. You're not gonna be able to sell that thing for $30,000 even at retail now. So you're going to sell it for $20,000. That $10,000 of like overage is showing up on your balance sheet. It's showing that you have that much in inventory, but it's not worth that. So you have to adjust that number down, and on the P&L, that's going to show up as a cost of goods. So that $10,000 hit in like dropping your balance sheet is also going to increase the cost on your P&L. That's why it's going to show like a loss. But when you sell the product in the future, it's not going to be this giant hit you're taking because you've kind of taken that loss in the year before. So anyway, that's one little piece of this whole inventory management thing. The other piece then becomes, all right, what process do we put in place? Just like you're talking about service. What process do you put in place to consistently reduce the price of the unit over time so that you can really match the supply and demand of that particular product? Because if you're just holding margin forever and then you realize, oh my gosh, that thing's 2 years old and I've never discounted it. I've never really tried to push it. I never used internal spiffs or any of that stuff. And you just go, how the hell do I get rid of it? You're going to have to take a big old hit, but then you got to make sure you're not continuing to get in that problem in the future.
You nailed it. I mean, everything you've just said is everything I've been learning in the past month. So 100% nailed it. Spot on. I actually didn't know very much of it. So, because I'd never been in those departments, I got help from previous store I worked at, and they've sent some people over that have helped me. And man, it is an eye-opening experience, and it is their write down is off the charts. So yeah, it's crazy.
Are they trying to get that done for 2025. I know we're in 2026 already, but
Yeah,
trying to shoot
they'll get
for
it done
the
for 2025. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a rough number for last year, but it's even harder to do all this heavy lift right now and do all these changes just to watch the next 12 months still suffer. Like,
Yes.
let's just get it corrected. I mean, that's like what I'm realizing as we round out this turnaround here is like, if we did this turnaround, did all this work in this store, and then we stepped away and we continue to watch their P&L just take hit after hit after hit, that's gonna be the nail in the coffin for the store. So we needed to like say, all right, we fixed the processes. We've got a good plan in place. Now let's clean up. So you're in the same spot we were. Okay, the team's on board. We're putting the right things in. Let's have a clean slate for 26 so that everything's all good from here.
Yeah. No, that's exactly where we're at. And parts is next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that parts inventory? What's the plan with parts so far?
Yeah. I'm bringing in some help. I'm going to add our old service manager from the last place I was at, or the old parts manager, who's freaking unreal. His number wise and his all this stuff. He's amazing. I've never seen any parts manager like him. So he's going to come in. Yep. He's still over there. Yep. He's killing it. He's going to come in and help out. So yeah, we're going to probably get that done in the next, I don't know, month or two.
Nice. And he's going to he's going to count it all. You're going to pull out OBS, obsolete inventory.
Yeah. I barely scratched the surface on making the phone call and getting that process rolling. So yes, he's going to do everything, but I'm going to learn at the same time. So
well, Danny's doing that right now. Danny, what advice do you have for cleaning up parts inventory since you've been in it?
Yeah, pull a report of what hasn't sold or in the past year. Also pull out what has been ordered in the past year and take that report, and as you're counting inventory, pull out stuff that hadn't sold in the past year. Make a list, liquidate it, write it off at the end of the year, and then get a nice check to order stuff that you can sell.
Yeah, so if you haven't called up already, Suncoast Cycles is who we were using. They're out of Florida, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
so that spreadsheet that Danny made of all the stuff that's in inventory but has been here over a year and hasn't sold in at least a year. Actually, we did 18 months, didn't we? 18 months?
We did
hadn't sold in 18 months. Okay, we did 12 months?
Mm-hmm.
All right, even better. So that entire list, as they were going through and pulling it out, we're just making sure that this list has that component accounted for, and we just put them on pallets. And you send that list over to Suncoast Cycle Supply, and they give you 10 cents on the dollar of cost. And it's not great, you're taking quite a hit, but I tell you what, like psychologically, it is so much nicer because as I'm going through that parts department and I'm pulling like, oh, wait a second, what's on my list is like, this is like a valve cover from this particular bike, and we should have had it. We can't get rid of it because if somebody drops that bike, like being a store operator, especially like a service guy, I'm like, this has value. I can't just throw it away. It just wasn't inventoried properly. It wasn't being used appropriately. But to know that I'm at least going to get pennies on the dollar for it made it feel so much easier to go throw it in that bin and go, look, they gave us $3 for it. It's not great, but it's better than throwing it in the trash can, and it's going to get used.
I mean, it accumulates, and once you see the big picture, it doesn't hurt as much. I mean, the majority of this stuff that we're getting rid of, this inventory that at this current store was already pretty lean for the stuff that they were actually using. The issue was there were so many items left over from jobs that they ordered parts for that the customer never approved. So we just got stuck with the parts. They never got sent back. So much mismanagement of high dollar items that we are not going to use. You have to get over the thought of like, well, maybe somebody will bring in a 10-year-old Triumph that has this particular piece that it needs. Like, no, get rid of it. My projection shows that we should have about $130,000 worth of stuff that we're sending to them. So we'll get a check for 13 grand. It's a nice feeling. And it's organizing the shop at the same time.
The other thing that I think is important to recognize is that major units are tougher, right? When you say, I got to get rid of that product that's on the showroom floor because it's been here too long and it's costing too much in flooring, when you offload that, you still have to pay the bank the actual cost, not the market value. You still have to pay them like what the OEM charged you for it. For parts and accessories and clothing, most of those you're buying with cash. Like your cash is already gone. It is not like when you get rid of the thing, you don't have to pay somebody back for it. You just go, all right, let's flush it. Let's get the pennies of the dollar out of it. Let's clean up so the inventory is easier to find. It's easier to inventory. I'm not wasting all this time recounting it every year. Like it sucks to get rid of all that stuff, but it doesn't hurt your cash flow. It's going to hurt your P&L, but it's not going to hurt your cash flow.
Well, that I think is a hang up for a lot of people, is that they say, well, we've already paid for it. We might as well just keep it. But in reality, the inventory is an absolute mess. And you really just need to dial it into the things that you're using on a consistent basis and run a lean inventory. Start fresh, just like we were talking about everything else for the beginning of the year, but start fresh.
Dude, there's cost to that inventory just sitting there. It's the cost of taking up the shelf space of parts that you actually could have on hand. It's the cost of recounting it and moving it every single year. It's the cost of paying taxes on the assets you have, which is your inventory. Yeah. Like you're literally paying taxes for that stuff to still exist there. Like, stop it. It hasn't sold in 3 years. It's not going to sell tomorrow. So,
yep.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. But you guys are totally right.
Like this, and you're about to get in it. So sorry, we have a lot of opinions now for it.
Yeah, you guys are good. Totally good. What's kind of nice is that so far the two parts departments seem very stable, very good employees. They're moving a lot of product. So the parts departments are probably last for a good reason. So
that's great. Tell me about the relationship between those two departments, parts and service. Are you selling tires over the counter and then services creating repair orders for them? Like, do they work well together putting parts on ROs?
Yeah, that's a great question. They do work really well together. They were walking paper back and forth and making it a way bigger, harder process than it needs to be. And that's getting smoother. One of the service departments, the manager is also the parts manager. So he works extremely well with, and he's really good at what he does. He actually probably is, I'm not sure which ones he's better at. He's really good at both. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's hard to find. That's a very hard to find.
It's a very hard role.
Because I was a parts manager for like 3 months, and man, that's a bummer job. You know what I mean? That sucks. Coming from what you know to jumping into that and just like you said, what are we going to do? We're going to write these parts down to $1. And I'm a service guy thinking we're going to sell this. Like it could take 3 years, but we're going to sell this part. Why would we write this down? That's crazy. So the mindset there is different, but I think it's for a good reason. You gotta have turns. If you don't have turns, you're just, like you said, wasting space, time, money, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. It's just, everything we're doing as managers are just managing the inventory, right? It's either we're going to do a good job of selling it out, or we're going to recognize that we're not going to make it all incredibly efficient unless we like make some cuts or some changes. And like being a service manager, the inventory's time, and I'm going to walk in, like you were saying, I've got a guy who's doing 60% proficiency. So 40% of the time he ain't doing shit. That's inventory getting thrown away. Just like your parts department, there's going to be inventory getting thrown away. But the cleaner and more proficient we get with that inventory, the more we can like make money off essentially the cash flow, like keep the cash moving so we can multiply it.
Yeah, exactly.
You were a part of our first Immersion program, which was the idea that, Danny and I wanted to start sharing this turnaround concept. Like, how do you take your own store and then start looking at it from a 30,000 foot view instead of being in the swirl, make a plan on that, and then start executing those plans. And so you were a part of the first one. What do you think of it? We've improved it. We're about to launch the next one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. I think it's crazy. It's kind of cool because I'm going through it right now. So everything you guys are doing is just kind of really just hitting home with me. And I'm just trying to come up with all these different things to, try to make it so, just like you talked about, hey, how do we make this problem not come back in the future? How do we keep this clean moving forward? Is it once a month we do an audit? Is it, what is the what is the right answer here? But yeah, I'm trying to come up with that right now as I'm doing all this stuff. Here's what it is, and here's what we're going to do to keep this from happening. So I think what we're doing right now is going to be so big. It's going to be huge. It's just really going to help out. Just the process alone is just crazy.
The process of understanding what the store needs, coming up with a plan. And I think one of the most important ones is the accountability piece to it. So like we did the first, the immersion, what we're calling it is a 30-day like meeting every week. There's like homework that needs to happen. You're understanding the vitals of the store, like you were talking about. What are the things the moving pieces? How do we move the pieces in the right order? And let's make a plan. 6 things you're going to do in the next 90 days. That's great and all. Like, Billy, if we just gave you that list and we were like, work as hard as you can the next 90 days and good luck, it would succeed for you because you're a hard ass worker and you got a plan. But even for what we were doing, man, that you need to hold yourself accountable to something else. The people we held ourselves accountable to were the Power Sports Business articles we were writing, because I was like, I'm going to make the industry pay attention to what we're doing, just so that it's like deciding I'm going to lose weight and like going on social media and be like, I'm going to lose 100 pounds and like, you better watch me. So like, that's what we did over here. And now I feel like with what you're doing now, not only have you got the owners who are going to make sure you want to do it, but like we get to check back in and say, all right, Billy, we talked a couple weeks ago and this was happening. Now, 2 weeks later, did you fix those problems? What's happening now? I think that's the fun part, because not only does it say, hey, you're still doing your thing, but we get to have these fun, creative conversations of like, all right, here's the problem I'm tackling now. What are some ways you've done it? But what are some like creative things that we can come up with and maybe brainstorm really quickly? And then you get to go in and try them right away. And then we get to go back to the lab and try them out. So you're right, dude. I am so excited for the thing that we're building. I mean, one of our partners correctly named it a movement, right? This is like the movement we're trying to make of saying, okay, well, let's do different types. Let's imagine the new dealership, the processes that requires, the staffing that requires, the tools that requires, and let's create this movement to get people involved in it. And you're doing it right now, and you're doing it with us, and it's really fun. So
yeah, no, it's very good, and I just love learning about it. So I've kind of like, I don't even know, it's like remotivated me to just dive in and do this even more and try to make it even better. So I kind of felt like I lost motivation for a while. And I think that's what happens to a ton of people. I think that's the biggest problem, is you lose motivation and you just get stuck in doing your day-to-day tasks. And then everything passes you by and you're not looking at it, like you just said, from 30,000 feet. You're not looking at what's going to make the store better. You're not looking at how do we make this process easier. You just let all that stuff go and the store's toast at that point. It's just going in the wrong direction.
So Billy, for the next immersion, we're starting at February 4th. You're going to be in the meetings with us. But what do you think if we make you one of the coaches or the shamans of these groups? Because the idea is we want to be able to have groups of dealers who are kind of going through the same thing, be able to meet and hold each other accountable. I'll be running Onyx Group 1, our first cohort that is now running. You're a part of Onyx 1. So then we're going to have like Onyx 2s and 3s and like groups of stores that are all doing these things. And I think each of us are going to have, each of those groups are going to have little shamans.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Be a part of it. Let's make you.
Yeah, I'd love to be a part of it.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
good. Let's get
that'd be
more
awesome.
on this movement. And there's a lot of people who want to sit down specifically with you and talk through service departments or parts departments or the concepts you have for inventory management and all that. So I think it's good. 2026 is going to be a very fun year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. Everything we're doing is just, I mean, I send you weird and random ideas. I mean, even utilizing AI and stuff, I just can't wait. I just feel like some of the stuff we're going to make is really going to be cool. So
completely agree. Completely do. All right, dude. Well, thanks for sitting with us again. Awesome work in what you've been doing so far. The inventory stuff is going to be fascinating, and I'll send you the pricing tool.
Okay.
So you can start playing with that. Thank you. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. See you, dude.
All right. Later.